Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is JD with me again, coming to you from Rochester, New York. Today is December 18th, 2012. So less than 3 full days to the supposed either alien invasion or destruction of the world, or transcending to another plane of existence, or all other kinds of, you know, December 21st predictions. But this video ain't about that. At the time of this video, on Friday, which would have been the 15th, yes, the 15th, I believe, yeah, and in Newtown, Connecticut, a shooter entered the Sandy Hook Elementary School and killed, I believe, 27 people, 18 of which were children. In the wake of this tragedy, of this heinous crime, there has been a upswell in calls for the banning of guns outright here in America. And people have used crime statistics in other countries that have a full-out ban on guns to bolster their point, saying that if guns were completely illegal here in America, the crime rate would go down. Obviously, the gun violence would go down, and we would stop having these mass killings, and that the life is more valuable than the right to bear arms. Now, before I go any further, I want it to be known that I am not a NRA member. I do not have a membership with the NRA. I am not a Second Amendment enthusiast, meaning that under no circumstances am I going to accept anything that curtails it. So I'm not, I'm not rabid with my Second Amendment right. Okay. But I want to give my thoughts on this whole banning guns outright thing, my opinion of it. And I feel that if we were to do such a thing, to ban guns outright, it is, I do not feel that's the right way to go. The reason why is because even though at the time of the writing of the Constitution, guns were single shot and poorly accurate, the reason why that amendment was there is because after the American Revolution and after the failed Articles of Confederation, the founding fathers were trying to think of a way to create a government that would not oppress its people. And if said government were to ever go down the oppressive route, they would have safeguards in the law to authorize said population to defend itself from the encroachment of their civil liberties. Now, why do I say that? Well, when you look at, in the 20th century, the rising of totalitarian regimes, Nazi Germany, fascist Italy, North Korea, other places, one of the first rights they take away is the right to bear arms. The citizen's right to bear arms, or they make it extremely difficult to legally have them. Why is that important? Well, if you de-arm your populace, it makes them easier to control, because now you've taken away the possibility of an armed revolt, of an armed revolution, i.e. the French Revolution, where they wound up killing the king and queen. You disarm the populace, that doesn't happen. So now we tie this back to the modern day. Yes, if first of all, how would you be able to totally ban guns outright? Because first of all, you would then have to collect the guns that were legally owned, that were previously legally owned. You would then have to force those that have them to turn them in. You know that's not going to happen. All right. Then you're saying that you're going to want the gun makers to stop making guns. Well, that's not going to happen because there's military, there's police, and there are other vocations that require the use of arms. So you're not going to get them to stop making guns. And as this is no longer the 17th or 18th century, anybody could possibly go online, look up schematics on how to build a gun, you know, whether through use of metallurgy or blacksmithing. Somebody will have something to post here on YouTube or somewhere on the internet how to make a gun. And then there's still the black market. So the only thing you're going to accomplish is a modern day prohibition. Instead of it being alcohol, it will be guns. Now, I understand the call to ban guns outright. When you have people dying by the 50s in Chicago every weekend, when you got all these school shootings since Columbine and people shooting up senators and stuff, there does need to be some changes to the gun laws here in America. But to ban them outright puts us in more danger, not less. Meaning, okay, less danger from somebody going on a shooting killing spree, but that puts the entire population at risk to an oncoming police state. Now, whether or not America is becoming a police state, it depends on your view and your awareness. Some of you believe that this is the greatest nation in the world. There are others that feel differently. I am of the opinion that with the Patriot Act on the books, Obama signing the NDAA on the books, okay, when you see the cops, like the Anaheim Police Department, almost going full civil war with the citizenry earlier this year, okay, when you got police brutality and crooked cops, when you got the government trying to pass like SOPA and PIPA, I believe, trying to control the internet and things like that, when you got the government ceasing footage of the plane that crashed into the Pentagon, okay, when you got these types of things going on, one would have to ask if there really is nefarious things our government is doing overtly and covertly, alright, do you really think that making it impossible for the citizenry to own guns legally is the right thing to do? Because keep in mind, what that shooter did was the guns belonged to his mother, legally owned. He got access to them illegally. So how would you stop that from happening? How do you stop a person from accessing a gun illegally? You can't, because again, you're gonna start up a gun market, an illegal gun market, somebody is going to provide them. You can guarantee it. And more importantly, this is a violent world. You need something to protect yourself. Whether it's by learning how to fight, learning kung fu, or learning military fighting styles, having a shotgun in your house. Hell, my family personally, we went through two instances where if we would have had a weapon in the house, it would have needed to be used. We had two separate incidents, a year apart. So, as tragic as that, what happened in Sandy Hook was, banning guns outright is the last thing we should do. I believe that we need to make guns smart, meaning being able to recognize if the person holding it is a licensed gun owner, and whether or not the serial number is attached to the person holding it. That would go a long way. And then, so like, if it isn't, then the gun won't work, and then it'll call the police. That's something that we could do. Another thing that we could do is to make anybody that has a firearm subjected to monthly psych evaluations. That's something we could do. But to see people so vehemently call for the banning of guns and to dismiss those who feel differently, it's disturbing to me, because to me it shows a lack of awareness of history. Because because the only thing you're going to do is you're going to make it harder for the law-abiding citizens to access a gun. You're not going to stop the criminals from having guns. You're not going to stop the black market profiteers from having them and selling them. You're not going to be able to stop the ones who already have one legally, giving them away or selling them. You're not going to be able to stop that. And pointing to other countries that have low crime levels, that also have weapons bans, it's not the full picture, because there are other mitigating circumstances that makes the country safe or not safe. Like, what's the quality of life there? Like, what's the standard of living? Is the country is it developed? Is there a lot of poverty? How's the infrastructure in that country? Does it have a lot of natural resources? Is it a dictatorship? All kinds of shit. There's all kinds of reasons as to why a country is low in crime. Okay? So, yes, it is scary. After, with the idea that your children can't even be safe in the elementary school. It is a scary thought. But again, you take away guns, then let's say you're able to ban guns and keep people from having them. Let's say you're able to find a way to stop illegal guns from being smuggled into the country. Let's say you're able to do all that stuff. Instead of guns, now you get people getting stabbed up. You're not going to be able to take away the violent impulse of human nature. That's the one thing you can't legalize. Well, one of the things you can't legalize out. Yeah, the human nature has the human animal has a propensity for violence. So you're not going to be able to get rid of that with laws until somebody finds a way. Like if they find a genome or a chromosome that's the cause behind violent tendencies, and they can find a way to eradicate that shit, Until then, the human race is always going to be violent. So, I don't want this to be an extra long video because I don't want people to not watch this because of the length, or lose the point after 30 minutes in or anything. So for now, that is what I have to say. I want to hear your take on the possible banning of guns outright. Do you feel that that is what we need to do? Do you feel that we still need to have the right to bear arms, but we need alterations to the law? What do you suggest? Do you think that I'm out of bounds by mentioning the possibility of the encroachment of civil liberties, and that's one of the first steps by taking away the right to bear arms? You can make a video response or comment in the comment section. This is JD Legree signing out.